Hello everyone, and welcome to Jump Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet. We're back to the old intro. I'm Will, and joining me this week, Brandon.
Dude, now you throw me off with the going back now.
Muzamil.
Now I feel at home. I feel welcome.
And Ills.
He couldn't stay away.
Well, do you want me to pull the look behind the curtain? I did a coin flip literally before I sat down, and it was heads, so that's the old intro.
I never want to look behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Keep the curtain closed.
They're giving away the game. Regis would never do this. How are we doing this week, boys?
I feel a little tired, honestly.
Tuckered out?
It's been a
A
bad
little
week.
tuckered out, yeah.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I sympathize with that. I think I'm feeling the same, honestly.
We gotta rest up. We got a long weekend coming up. We got three podcasts coming up this weekend that we gotta do.
Oh
Yeah.
boy! Oh boy!
Biggest party of the summer. That is going to be a thing to look forward to down the line, but we're still here. We gotta do this podcast for you. Get looking at that stuff. And
Wait, I need the live clarification here.
Uh-huh.
Will we have already gone live with Ranker Slam by this point, or
no? Maybe?
If we're streaming Rankers,
What the fuck?
We're going to have this conversation off microphone.
So it may or may not have already happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
It probably hasn't.
It's happened. By the time you're hearing this, it's at least happened in real life.
Yeah, but who knows if you have been able to access it. But okay.
Yeah.
What is real life?
That's a good question. But we'll find all that out. We did not play. We said last week's podcast we're going to lurk up the scheduling. We didn't. So we're here though. We did know we're going to always be on Mondays doing this. So
I love Mondays.
much like our friend Garfield. But we have news to get to this week, right? That's the first time in a while. Oh my. So there's some fun stuff and there's some more serious stuff. I want to leave it to you guys. You want to do a fun thing first or a more serious thing first?
Let's
Serious.
leave I was gonna say let's leave the fun to the end.
Okay.
Yeah, get the bad news out of the way, and then we can end on a good note.
Sure.
You know?
We'll alternate probably because there's several stories, but this one is it sort of started like literally the night that we recorded last week's podcast, but I'm happy we got to cover it now because there's been a little bit more development. Has to do with the ESA. If you don't know what the ESA is, that is the Entertainment Software Agency. They are like a lobbying group, and they do several other things within the video game industry, but they're probably most well known to consumers for being the people that put together the Electronic 3 every year.
E3.
Wow.
E3. So, when people are buying tickets, when companies are talking to the organizers, that is the ESA. And of course, when you are doing that, you have to contact and buy. Now, it's for the last couple of years been open to both the public and press, E3. And we found out that the database that they have that has all the contact information for attendees, right? So this now includes both press people and normal, just fans, has been publicly accessible for the last 3 to 4 months. In essentially, you don't have to, you can't just go to a web page and see it all, but it's very easy to access. There was big vulnerabilities, and essentially it got out. It's already been out there. We're not going to link to it. We don't want to do anything else. But essentially, the ESA has doxed all of their attendees for both 2018 and 2019 E3.
Take that, nerds. We got you.
Wow.
Which is obviously a big deal, as you could imagine, for these people who are suddenly like, oh, my personal phone number or our work business address is now suddenly out for anyone to find.
It's a good thing that we didn't blow up yet because we're not at E3 or anything, so we don't got to worry about it.
We got safe. We're safe from this.
Bullet dog.
We're safe.
I like that strategic placement of the word "yet" there. Very funny.
Yeah. We planned it that way too because we knew this was going to happen.
Damn.
Yes. definitely.
Let's not say that we knew it was going to happen because there is potential.
We were not involved in the process.
We were not involved in the process.
In case law enforcement is listening, we were not involved in the process, nor did we have any knowledge of said actions.
And normally we would do that, but this could potentially involve the law, or it could involve at least lawsuits, because there's also the fact that the people who shared this on Twitter, which there's a whole debate on whether or not they should have done that, did contact the ESA several times before they did, and then they got no response. So the ESA was notified. This was not changed.
Yeah. This is really bad. I mean, it especially sucks because I feel bad for the video game journalists out there because, you know, they're already a constant target of harassment because, they gave my precious game a 7.5, or you know, like, or they're the SJWs who are trying to take away my games, you know, and it's like,
listen, that's pretty shitty. Except for the guy who gave God Hand a 3. Well, fuck that dude.
Of course. Yeah.
But it's just like, you know, like Gamergate type asshats are all up in this info, you know.
Imagine still caring about Gamergate. Like,
yeah,
5 years
but
later.
there's still those people though, you know. There's still those people who are still all about their ethics and games journalism.
Yeah,
it's pretty sad.
And so I mean, obviously, you need two different groups of people to make E3 happen. You need developers and you need attendees. And this is clearly, I mean, the thing is, there's developers too that are like, hey, you know, this is awful, right? Like, people come to play our games and suddenly, like, you know, that's a whole problem, right? Mm-hmm. But of course, you know, like you said, more directly it affects the attendees. And E3 is, I mean, we said months ago that, like, with Sony leaving, like, it's not like people aren't going to keep going to E3, right? But this is a thing that at least,
well,
I mean...
E3 is dead. E3 is dead.
Well, I'm not saying E3 is dead, but, like...
It's finally dead.
The ESA, like... This is a weird spot. It's a very weird spot for them to be in. Like, I don't know.
I mean, like, this might actually, like, not, who knows what'll happen, but this might actually be, like, the death of E3, who knows?
At least as it currently is, right? Like,
I think, for one, like, I think people are gonna want the ESA to have just massive changes, right? Because, like, I mean, whoever's responsible for this needs to get fired, you know?
Yeah.
There was already, I mean, the ESA, the thing is, this has also been a terrible year for the ESA in general, right? There was a lot of murmurs about, like, the previous head of the ESA being, like, this really shitty guy, big old Trump supporter, you know, and just was very, you know, and
but even removed from, like, that stuff, like...
No, but even stuff, but I'm saying, like, and, like, you know, the ESA's been having trouble with, like, loot box stuff this year, and, you know, they just, like...
Because they are a lobbying firm at the same time. They are sort of like the de facto lobbying firm for the video games industry in a lot of ways. And I mean, they've not done a particularly good job, I think, for a lot of developers' perceptions. But also, I mean, E3 as a conference, there's been issues for both developers and for consumers of just like, or people that are attending of just like, they felt years behind in terms of how they're putting on their convention because they didn't want to bring anyone in from the outside, right? Like they had 20 years of experience doing a press convention, which works, but they didn't bring in anyone from like PAX or any, you know, there are people that's jobs it is to plan conventions for like traffic flow and for all the other stuff, right? And they refused to bring those people in, and it's, I think, made attending E3 a worse experience for a lot of people involved.
Correct.
And for developers, it's like, well, that means fewer people are playing our games.
I feel like that's the biggest conference. Like, they should already have that experience, maybe? I don't know.
You would think.
Yeah,
but like...
because E3's just been in this weird space of, like, are we a press show? Are we, like, a trade show? Or are we, like, a consumer show? It's, like, this weird mix of both, but it's not really doing either one right, you know? Yeah. And it's just, like, I don't know. Like, E3 doesn't know what it wants to be in a lot of ways, you know? And it's just, like... Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what... I mean, the ESA needs to have a huge revamp, though. That much is clear, you know? Just after all this shit, it's like, they need to revamp the entire organization. Yeah.
Just every year, just put Keanu Reeves on the stage.
You know, Reggie Fils-Aimé, you know, I think he needs a job. I'm just...
Oh, no! Yeah, because you sort of like, it's funny because you mentioned Keanu Reeves, but like that Microsoft press conference was like, it was a part of E3 clearly, but like it was not in the E3 convention center, right? Like Microsoft's thing actually isn't in the convention center itself either. They're across the road.
Yeah, they don't have their booth in the convention center anymore, and that's a lot of, that's the case for like EA, Activision doesn't have a booth at the show floor anymore. There's a lot of weird stuff with E3 these days, and it's like,
damn. It's like your parents split up and are sleeping in different beds now.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because like if you looked at the floor plans for this year, it was like West Hall was like Nintendo, and then just a bunch of like, who are you?
I follow the games industry. I don't know who these people are. Like they make weird accessories for PCs of like steering wheels and like a bunch of other stuff I haven't checked in on.
It's so, because like obviously like E3 week is like a big deal for the games industry. But like I wonder if there's gonna be a lot of publishers kind of rethinking their strategy. Like I wonder if the future of E3 starts being like, yeah, we're still all gonna do something in this same week of the year, but like not really a coordinate. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if they still brand it E3, right? But like not even. But like, will the will the convention exist the way it does? And I don't know.
It's time for everyone to copy Nintendo.
Yeah.
All pre-recorded press conferences.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. As long as we get a week where we just get tons and tons of new video game stuff and trailers and new reveals.
Yeah, because I think like a lot of people say how E3 is irrelevant, blah blah blah. But like that is ignoring like, hey, the week of E3, the traffic that goes to video game news and video like just views of trailers and news articles and all this, it's just enormous. Like Twitch and YouTube gaming, it just have ridiculous views for that week, and kind of everyone benefits in that week,
Yeah.
So like I do think it is important to still have that like that kind of central
come together
moment.
Right?
Yeah, it's a focal point basically.
I don't know how the ESA adapts to that though. That's the big question.
If that will exist, but it won't be with them directing it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But obviously, we mentioned a couple weeks ago with the Joy-Con drift lawsuit, but this stuff could take time, right? If it does go forward into the realm of law, but it'll be interesting to see how. There's basically been no response from them right now, which is part of the other thing. Is like it's just been radio silence by and large. So yeah, we'll see. But you know where there is another event that is just a bunch of different companies coming together to sort of like get some eyes on all of them. The Evolution Fighting Tournament.
Evolution 2019.
EVO 2019 happened this past weekend. 2 weeks ago, I guess now, right?
I guess I'll check out for the next 5 minutes.
No. There might be something you care about. Because we did get announcements, right, from all of EVO. And we'll quickly run through them, right? If you have something to say, shout it out, right? So first up, we have BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, a game that is already like, it's such a strange game that it was on Sunday, but it's getting a full 2.0 update in November. 9 new characters are coming all at once. They announced 4 of them. One of them is from Akatsuki Blitzkampf, which I've never heard of, but turns out is a fighting game that already existed.
Yeah.
One of the guys is named Akatsuki from the thing, and Blitz Tank, who is great. It's a giant fucking tank with a skull for like at the end of its cannon, and it's a huge tank that you play as. It takes up half the screen. I like wonderful. That guy a lot. But then also they had Neapolitan, who's a character from Ruby, because Ruby is in BlazBlue, and then the other new series that is introduced here, Yumi from Senran Kagura Estival Versus, specifically that one they said. But from the large,
I like that.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, the 2.0, I mean, it's pretty cool that they're dropping like 9 characters at once instead of doing like the rollout that they usually do. You know, it's just like, hey,
sure.
Boom, November, whatever, here's 9 new characters, here's a big old balance update. That's kind of cool to see, right?
Yep.
And also, I mean, I'm surprised BlazBlue is getting a season 2 in general because I didn't think it was that successful. But like here they are, like they're able to do a season 2, you know, make a big deal out of it. And it's funny to see Cross Tag Battle in particular because it's clearly just like the producer being like, I just like these franchises and I want to put them in this game.
Yeah.
Right? He's just putting whatever the fuck he wants. There's no rhyme or rhythm or anything to it.
He just liked
it's just
Ruby, so Ruby was in the base game.
Yeah.
He just likes Shinra and Kagura, so Shinra and Kagura is in this in 2.0.
And then this like Akatsuki Blitz Tank thing. I've never heard of this. Apparently it's like a fan project kind of deal.
Yeah. Sort of like Toho, I think. But
yeah, kind of like Toho. Yeah. But like it's a fighting game, I guess, right?
yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's cool. It's cool to just he just wants to, he's doing whatever the fuck he wants, and kudos to him. You know.
That's wild. The tank thing is wild. It really reminds me. It gives me vibes of the Daytona car that was playable in that one Sega Dream Mix or whatever it was.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like it's cool because like I haven't seen the rest of the cast of that game, but it feels like they picked. Like, okay, here's the main guy, but let's get the weirdest thing we can get, right? That'll just, like, you don't know what this is, but this thing is interesting, right? And I think that's cool.
That tank takes up, like, half the screen, by the way.
Yes.
It is ridiculous.
Then for Dragon Ball FighterZ, we got 2 characters that we already knew about, but whatever. Janemba is now out. You can play as Janemba. He's in FighterZ.
I guess technically Janemba was a, like, new reveal, even though he got leaked, but technically...
That's the weirdest... It was the weirdest thing, is Xbox said, hey, Janemba's coming to FighterZ. That one said, did you just mistweet that? And they said, no, Bandai Namco said we could say it. And so you're like...
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Why?
That was really weird.
But then also Gogeta also got announced is just coming soon.
Is it Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta?
I think it is. I'm
gonna assume it is.
It's definitely movie Gogeta. I didn't watch the trailer.
He is Blue Gogeta.
It's definitely the new movie version, so that would probably
Yeah.
be blue. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured it would probably be.
Yeah.
See?
That's cool though.
I would have played Dragon Ball FighterZ again if they would have gave me Vegito instead of. But, you know.
Well, there is
Vegeta's
already
already in there.
Vegito's already in the game.
It was in season 1.
Yeah. But that fills out season 2, by the way. So who knows if it'll get season 3.
Well, we still haven't seen Broly, right?
We know Broly is when the movie came out, they said Broly and Gogeta are being added.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen what Broly looks like.
It's funny that Broly was both the first and now the last DLC character.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, you have the original Broly, now they have the movie Broly, like the new movie Broly.
The canon
like,
Broly, I guess you could call him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's such a weird thing.
I really wanted to buy on Switch because, like, I mean, I just play everything on Switch. But it was on sale this weekend for EVO, right?
Yeah.
But it's just buying the game with all the DLC is so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ultimate, like, there's not an ultimate bundle that, like, is feasible, you know?
Yeah. And it's hard for me to justify, because I already bought the original game and the first season pass on PS4, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just hard for me to do that double dip. So like, I just haven't experienced the season 2 characters at all, because I don't really want to play on my PS4. But then, like, the Switch version's too expensive. Yeah, it's just, it's trouble sometimes.
But
You're living a hard life right now.
it's difficult. Then for other things, we got. I'm not gonna go over all of the syllable obstacle course that is the characters' names, but they filled out all of season 1 for Samurai Showdown, and they confirmed a season 2 was happening and showed the first character of that, which was apparently the result of a fan poll of who they wanted to see in season 2.
Yeah.
Which is super cool.
I am so excited to play Samurai Showdown. It's already out, obviously, but it's coming to Switch later this year.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that. But, like, I'm excited that Samurai Showdown is successful enough to do a season 2. Because that is the game that was, like, I don't know if it's going to sell well, man. There's, like, no marketing for this game. This is very directed towards the FGC, you know? Yeah. And it's like, oh, but no, it did well. They're getting a season 2. Good for SNK. They're on the comeback. I believe in them. King of Fighters 15.
Well, yeah,
looking forward to it.
And perhaps the weirdest announcement of it, in the middle of just like the ad roll that they would have in between different things, there's just suddenly King of Fighters 15 is in development, and you're like, what? And it's just that image. It's just the image and then the text, and that's it.
Yeah, they just flat because you weren't even there. I was the only one. Like, I was in a call with you, and you weren't watching the stream, and I was like, I just yelled like, what the fuck? Like, they just flashed the logo, and that's it. Like, now in development. And this was like right after the ad roll. They didn't even have someone come on stage or anything. Like, so you would think this was just the ad break, you know? Because it was the goddamn ad break.
Yeah.
And it's like, here it is, King of Fighters 15.
Right.
It's coming. In case you were wondering, it's coming.
But that was not the last time that we saw SNK, because Soul Calibur 6 announced 2 characters, which was Cassandra, who's a longtime veteran of the series. She's back as the first character of Season 2, but in the game they pronounce it Haomaru. The main character from Samurai Showdown is now going to be in Soul Calibur, which is a great fit, right? He has a sword, weapon-based fighter. Like
he's got a big sword. It's like... name a better fit for Soul Calibur, you know? Yeah.
And
I mean, definitely not a name that's gonna get people to buy the game. But
no, but maybe the idea is that it's the type of name that gets a Season 2 like hardcore audience to hop on. You know,
that's true.
He's not a better fit than Darth Vader.
And it's yeah, and it's a good EVO announcement. Like, you know, that's the crowd that's gonna be hyped for that. And it's just like, and I'm surprised. This is a running theme. I mean, like the producer said, hey, we had no plan for Season 2, but like the game did so well, the Season 1 did so well, that we're doing a Season 2. Like, because the game has just done so well. And like Soul Calibur 6 has definitely been like we didn't know how well it was doing. You know, it was just like
I was deeply worried.
most people thought it was just gonna bomb and that's the end of Soul Calibur. But like, nah, it did great. Which is another quiet success story from Bamco, by the way, because we had just had Ace Combat 7 kind of do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's cool to see Soul Calibur thrive, you know?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Because especially they presented it as, you know, the Japanese developers love to do the ultimatum of, this is the test for sales, or it dies,
if this one doesn't sell, the franchise is dead. They'll flat out tell you, you know? Like,
here's Chibi Robo, Ziplash, you better buy it if you like this little robot.
That's stupid. That pisses me off so much.
Yeah, I mean, at least Soul Calibur 6 is largely a good game.
At least Soul Calibur 6 is like what you want from Soul Calibur, though, right? It's like, hey, here's a proper fucking Soul Calibur.
Yeah, at least that.
Like, if you're not buying this proper Soul Calibur game, why the fuck would we make any more of these, right?
It's not what I want from Soul Calibur, because it doesn't have Li Long. And you know what? As soon as they put back Li Long, then I'll play again.
Alright,
that's fair. I bought it literally the day 2B was announced. I knew it was going to get cheaper the day, like later on, but I was like, nah, I have to buy this. I just...
You need to see that robot butt.
Okay, hold on.
It's Jay. You know what? He's not wrong.
It's, that is... Meanwhile, Tekken 7 has a Season 3. There was a moment, we need to briefly touch on this. There was a moment of utter confusion. Brandon wasn't called to hear us. On screen at EVO, in the middle of Tekken Top 8, Solid Snake pops up on screen in a codec call with Karada and says, that was some good-ass Tekken, huh? And then it just goes away. And everyone's like, did they just play a trailer at the wrong time? Was that a tease? Is Snake in fucking Tekken? What? And then...
The answer is no.
The answer is no. That was just the EVO guys did a little joke.
And like, that wasn't... Because you weren't supposed to hear it on stream. Because like, they didn't show the video on stream. That was just like a... for the audience kind of gag, basically.
Yeah.
But like, for one, people took it the wrong way. And then also you had like... Because Markman and Eris were the two commentators. You could tell Markman was in the know about what was going to be announced. Yeah. But like, Eris was not, right? Yeah. So he's like... So he mentions on stream real quick, like... He's like, did I just... And then Markman just kind of has to be like...
No.
I don't know, you know. But like, it was weird. It was a bad gag, you know. Obviously, I feel like this was it would have been pretty obvious to them that, hey, people are going to think Snake is in Tekken if you do this. But like, I guess that thought did not come
every rights owner, including like Bandai Namco, was like, hey, he's not in the game. David Hayter's like, keep your name out of my mouth. Like, don't use like my voice for this shit. Like,
so like Bandai Namco's pissed, Konami's pissed, David Hayter's pissed, Harada's pissed. A lot of people are pissed at EVO.
Good job.
For this little gag.
Good job. But they did announce 2 characters for Tekken though.
Yes.
Which were Zafina,
Season 3.
Yeah, who has like a demon hand. She's from Tekken 6, and then a new guy, Leroy Smith, who is a cool old black man with dreads, and he knows the kung fu. And he's
big fan of Leroy Smith.
Yeah, he's great. And then finally, let's get to the new games that were announced at EVO. We already mentioned King of Fighters. I guess it's worth mentioning. Under Night, I'm not going to say the full thing, is getting a new version, right, with new characters.
Under Night in Birth EXE.
No, don't do it.
I don't know what all those words mean, but I'm happy for those fans.
Sorry, EXE late clear. My bad.
Of course.
I'm not
forget.
sleeping right now. I'm taking a nap.
But we also got Guilty Gear announced from Arc System Works. Coming in 2020. We've seen Kai, we've seen Soul, Bad Guy, and we've seen. I think it's still probably the same base engine they used for the Xrd games, but boy, is this a pretty looking video game.
Well, so now it's on Unreal 4, so they were
Yes.
able to because the original Guilty Gear Xrd was on Unreal 3.
Yes.
And was a PS3 game, and now they're able to, fully take advantage of the PS4. And Jesus Christ, this game looks gorgeous.
They're very good.
Like I
Arc
don't know
System knows
if
how to
I've
make a
seen
pretty video game.
I don't know if I've seen a more pretty video game in my life. Like honestly,
Big
that is
words,
not
but
hyperbole.
it's
Jesus.
very good looking. And very gifable. There are good gifs of this game out
Oh,
there
yeah.
already. But that's one of those things is like Arc System Works overall just had a very good generation from being like the most niche of probably like Persona was their biggest franchise for like a while sales wise to now like Fighters, they have the Grand Blue game, they have Guilty Gear. They're a big boy now in the fighting game like genre, and that's cool.
Evo loves Arxis.
Well, Arctis loves Evo. But yeah, so I mean overall, but final thing before we mention it for another year, it was fun to watch. There was not a top 8 I was bored by besides Mortal Kombat, and it was
Damn.
it was a fun, like much like E3. I think it's so cool that all these people are still willing to share the stage to have the sort of this competition of what they're announcing, aside from the competition of all these people that are obviously the best in the world at these games. And like there were games that like I looked at and I was like, I don't like Dragon Ball FighterZ has had a weird last 12 months, right? The DLC's been kind of weird, whatever. You watch those Grand Finals with Goichi and Sonic Fox and you're like, I don't give a shit. This game's fucking awesome. I love this so much, right? Like it helps remind you of like the stuff that you like about these games. And that's why EVO is always fun every year, is because it brings
Shout
that
out
the
to
table.
Smash Brothers for breaking the viewership record.
It did. We didn't mention Smash because they didn't announce anything, but like it was main evented and people love Smash Brothers,
Some
And
people.
it was like at 1 a.m. Eastern, so like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people. So I was very shocked to see a lot of people being like,
Well, a
"Good,
lot
I
of
can go
people
to
said,
bed
yeah,
now."
a lot of people said now I can go to bed, and then the viewership numbers just
Yeah.
rose very high.
Almost like a lot of complaining nerds on the internet don't matter very much.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that should always be true.
But like overall, man, EVO was so great this year. I mean, honestly, like a lot of great upsets, just a lot of fun to watch. Literally every game but Mortal Kombat is just so great to watch.
Yeah.
NetherRealm, get the fuck out of here.
No, I don't know about that. The Mortal Kombat's a big deal. People love Mortal Kombat, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't find a lot of enjoyment.
I
in it.
cannot stand NetherRealm fighters. I can't.
Yeah. So speaking of nerds being mad on the internet, this is going to be a not fun one. So,
Oh baby.
None of
uh,
these have been fun for me.
well, one day we may find one. No, actually, it's gonna be Pokemon after this, so no, you're still gonna be checked out.
Thanks. Yep.
But there is a game called Ooblets, right?
Ooblets.
And you might say, why the fuck are we talking about Ooblets?
Oh no, I know what this is. I'm sad.
Yeah. I want to talk about this because the Epic Game Store thing has been just a constant through line of this entire year in video games, right? But I feel like there's a lot of different elements that are coming to a head, and specifically this one, which is a indie game, I would say is part Harvest Moon, part Pokemon with a little bit of Animal Crossing, right? You have a house, you customize your house, you have a back garden where you plant these little creatures and they grow to be bigger, and then you engage in dance battles with them. It's a very cute indie game that's made by a husband and wife. And a couple of years ago, when they decided, hey, we want to really work on this game, they made a Patreon. And in the Patreon, they made sort of very clearly in their language, hey, this isn't a Kickstarter, this isn't a, you're not backing anything, there's no like, give this much and you get a reward, right? This is just, we are two people, there's no income into our household right now while we work on this game full time, and if you just like us, you can support us, right? And there's a group of people that have done that for a while. But last year, they got a partnership deal with Double Fine Productions to help publish the game. And Double Fine's done this for the last couple of years because that is, it's a nice thing that they were doing to sort of help, get games across the finish line, talk to console makers and to platform holders, right? But because they were acquired by Microsoft and all those contracts were not signed by Microsoft, Ooblets was suddenly self-publishing again as of this E3. And so now, a month later, they announce, hey, we are going to be exclusive on the Epic Games Store, right? And they announced that in two different sort of messages. One that was just sort of them saying it on their Twitter. The other was a message to their patrons, right? Where they are, they're very flippant. This is the type of... I followed this game since, the 2017. And they've had a very consistent tone of, don't take anything too seriously, right? Like, this game's goofy. We're goofy. It's all fun and games at the end of the day. And people were deeply offended by the idea of saying that a PC store launcher is not a serious issue. And so it's turned now into, the husband of the duo wrote a big article on Medium about their experience with it. But it's turned into a lot of harassment, a lot of death threats, a lot of slurs. It's become, just another instance of people acting embarrassing about things that at the end of the day, like, I'm not saying you can't have a preference in a storefront, but no storefront is worth the things that these people are receiving, right?
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful, dude.
Yeah, what the fuck, people? How can you not act with some fucking decency over some fucking storefront shit? Like, it's fucking free! Just download it! What the fuck? It's not that big of a problem.
That's what I've been saying all along. Nothing justifies the thing.
Hell no. These people are fucking disgusting.
But I understood console exclusive things where people would get upset about it, right? Yeah. Like, let's say you had a game that got a sequel, and the sequel is suddenly exclusive to the console you don't own. If you want to play it, you got to go spend $300. This is free.
Yeah.
And that's what makes no fucking sense to me.
And it started with, okay, maybe I'll give you some sympathy because you like to have it all on Steam, blah, 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 whatever, right? But, like, as time goes on and on and on, and, like, it just, like, the reaction to the things just get worse and worse and worse. I just end up having, like, man, I really don't... Now I actively hope you don't get what you want,
Yeah, it's so overblown.
Because you've just been garbage people about this.
Yeah.
Extremely so. Like, right. I read that shit and I was just like, oh my god, I wish I could erase these people from the world.
Yeah, it was disheartening. It really was. Just to read the things that people were saying to him and his wife, it was like,
and like, it's
how
like
how could you say this over something like this? Come on.
And then I want to talk about how, like, people get mad because they took the epic bribe, and it's like, this is literally a husband and wife who quit their jobs to make this passion project, right? Yeah. Not really expecting, like people don't go into indie development hoping that they become the next Notch,
Yeah.
They make the game because they're just passionate and want to make and realize that, hey, I'm basically sacrificing everything, and I hope I just get enough back to make another game, Yeah. And it's just like, so like these people, Epic comes to their door and be like, hey, here's some money. Put it on our store exclusively. Yeah, I'm gonna take it because you know what? I need to live. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that. And like, that money actively goes into, okay, hey, the two people who, once again, do not have any other source of income, right? Besides the Patreon, it's like, hey, these two guys can live more comfortably, which means they can develop this game with more ease, and not have so much mental stress about it, and just be able to make the game the best that it can be, truly.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Especially
and
with an indie game, it's like you can see the direct correlation to the more money they have, the more the better their mental health will be, the better the game will be.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Besides all that, like 99% of these shitters probably didn't know what the fuck this game was.
No,
before this happened.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like almost everyone complaining about this didn't even give a shit about,
Yeah, I had no idea what it was.
And it's like, but it's like every single game that announces something like this becomes a big deal, even if these people did not, was not even on their radar, Yeah. But like now it's like the source of like, I hate you, we have to harass these people, and it's like, it's bad enough that people would do this stuff to Epic Games, but then also extending that to the developers that are taking these deals, It's like, it's there's no excuse for it. There's just flat out no excuse for it. Yeah. This is bad.
Right.
And people need to be better.
And one of the things that one of the people said just made me fucking roll my eyes so hard. He was like, "Don't disrespect PC gamers." I was like, "Oh my god,
The game.
dude, what are you talking about?"
Like,
yeah.
step back and realize what you're saying.
Yeah, you
It's
sound
so bad.
comical, right? Like,
Yeah,
and that's because there's a part he touches on in that Medium post that I think about a lot, which is just the thing of like, when he says the word entitled, he didn't like mean it like just randomly. It's like, no, like there is a thought of like, oh, things should be made for me, right? And he's like, the secret of the matter is like, you don't owe us anything. You don't need to buy our game. You don't need to care about the fact that we're wherever, right? Like, if people like the thing that we make and they like us, then they'll buy it. And if you don't have to. But we're not obliged to make a thing for you if you're not interested. You know, like there is no contract between like developer and consumer that seemingly so many people think there is, right? And like I think that like underlies so many issues, is like this idea that you know, ever since, I mean, like maybe Mass Effect 3's ending, it's been a continual thing of like, we hate this developer, we're going to complain enough and they're going to change what they do if we complain enough, right? And the thing is like that type of relationship very quickly can turn into harassment, can very quickly turn into people using it as a smokescreen to just be awful, right? And like, and, you know, and like fair play to like Jim Sterling, for example, right? He's a guy that oftentimes makes videos about a developer does a scummy thing, right? He took down the video on Ooblets because he was like, hey, people are using this as an excuse to be shitheads, right? And like, that's the conversation that like largely goes unchecked of like, there is a huge difference between being upset that a thing that you like is no longer for you, or looking at a thing and saying, this is not a trend that I enjoy, versus going and harassing people. There's a gulf between that, and they get lumped together as like, if one thing happens, you can do the other, right? If I'm upset about this thing, I can harass people, and that's not the case.
Well, you know what the solution is? Don't fucking buy the game. That's it.
That's it. And you don't have to talk to them ever again.
And then you don't have to talk about it. And the secret is there's billions of other games to play. You know?
So many. Oh my god.
Upcoming releases, games that are already out, games on so many different platforms. Even if you are solely dedicated to Steam and have this shrine dedicated to Gabe Newell, right? There is so much content to play on that platform. You can miss Ooblets. It's fine. You're good.
like you said, Els, like most of them. I mean, there was 500 people that like were consistent patrons for them. This went far beyond those 500 people. It got shared around. There was doctored screenshots of making it seem like the guy was saying a bunch of truly awful things that he didn't say. Like it was like, I mean, like sort of all of you said, it was super disheartening and like anger inducing. The whole process.
I will say, now that I've seen like their story and all, you know, I'm buying the game twice. I'm buying it on Xbox. I'm buying it on the Epic Games Store.
Well, there you go.
Is it coming out on Xbox?
It is.
It's coming on Xbox.
I think it's coming on basically everything.
I'm gonna buy this game. I'm gonna
as far as I know,
I'm gonna download it. I'm gonna buy a physical copy. I'm gonna shoot a bootlegger.
But yeah,
I'm definitely gonna buy it on Epic Games Store though, specifically that store. But I'll also buy it on other platforms. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. Transitioning. There's a lot of ways I could transition this, but I'm just gonna say Pokemon.
Hey, talk about shitty fan bases.
Heyo.
Talk about shitty games.
So I mean, you said it for me. We have we got a Pokemon update this week. Just a trailer, right? Not a direct. That's fine though.
Yeah.
We and let's talk about it because there's, of course, we care about Pokemon.
I'd love to.
Cross-gen evolutions are back.
Well,
it was good. It was good.
You're leading off with the thing.
Sorry. I just was very excited about this.
we had two things confirmed to come back in this trailer, gameplay wise. One, as Moose said, there's cross-gen evolution. So maybe even before that, there is regional forms returning.
Yes.
If you played Sun and Moon, you know that there were Alolan forms. Now there are Galarian forms. Not as fun to say, but as a Alolan. But we have two that are confirmed as of now, which is Galarian Wheezing. We never saw Galarian Coughing. And then Galarian Zigzagoon and Linoon. And then the thing, like Moose said, there's now also cross-gen evolutions, a new evolution added to that line. Obstagoon. which there's a lot to get to with all of this, because
Yes. I want to point out, though, you said we didn't see Galarian coughing. Probably isn't a thing, because, Cubone was not a thing.
Yeah.
There was no
Yes,
Alolan
some of the
Cubone.
pre-evolutions are like what they were, and then when they evolve, they turn into like a special Galarian.
Right.
form, like a Pokemon.
Execute as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
Pikachu.
it's probably coughing's normal, and then like he'll evolve into a Galarian Wheezing, which is
nah,
Yeah.
I think it's worth describing Galarian Wheezing, though.
He's probably my favorite one I saw.
But
so he. Yeah,
I mean, he's got a like chimney stack top hat for one, and like the poison smog that collects around his face is in the form of a mustache on his bigger form, and like a beard and big bushy eyebrows on his smaller form.
He's very dignified now.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
extremely
Yes.
British. They will not
Yes.
they will let you know what they are. And he's also Poison Berry, which is the first time there's ever been a Pokemon of that type, which is cool.
Yeah, man. I was thinking about that typing, and I'm going to tell you. And also, he has Levitate as one of his abilities. So he has two weaknesses. Steel and Psychic.
Yeah.
Because it gets rid of Ground because of Levitate.
and he has two immunities, ground and
He has
dragon.
two immunities. And very defensive. I'm like, ooh. If they keep his stats kind of similar, he's going to be
sick.
He's going to be a fun time.
And the thing that is cool also about him too is like I love now in Pokemon the like their pages, the like essentially Pokedex entries, right? Of like now he goes the fairy thing is like he eats smog, and then he uses the dirty parts to keep himself going, and then he just spews out clean air. So this is how
he's eco-friendly.
Yeah, he's eco-friendly wheezing.
Nice.
That's what he wants you to think, but he needs the smog to live.
Well, yeah,
So,
but like
I
if it's
mean-
clean at the end, then it works.
He's doing a public service. Don't take
Yeah.
it away from him.
So,
All right?
I think this is a trick by the fossil fuel industry.
But the big
personally.
Galarian
Fucking-
business.
Oh, jeez.
Didn't
Didn't they get rid of Cole and Galeria? Whatever.
we have a coal Pokemon, and they
There's
said that
literally
they don't
coal
use it
Pokemon.
nearly as much. It used to be every family had a roly-poly. They don't anymore because coal's gone.
Oh, look at that. Okay, maybe I'm changing my mind on.
Yeah,
that.
it's
He's-
eco-friendly
He's doing
Pokemon
he's
Day.
doing a good job.
The other thing that's weird about him is that he has a secondary ability that you could have, but it's a question mark right now. So who knows?
Yeah, we don't know what it is. It's gotta be pretty good for me to not want Levitate on that thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
You
We'll
have to
see.
be willing to give up a lot. But then
but yeah,
for
he's
Zigzagoon,
Zigzagoon.
and to Obstagoon, he's
Man, I want to point out something real quick.
okay.
We finally got a regional that is not a Gen 1 Pokemon, and I am ecstatic
Yes,
about that.
correct. This is the first regional form that is not a Gen 1 Pokemon. So it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I'm very happy.
Zigzagoon's now he's like he's black and white.
Yeah, if you look at an English badger versus a Japanese badger, like a Japanese badger is more brown and yellow, like original Zigzagoon, and English badger is black and white. So that's cool.
That is super cool.
But he's also a member of the band Kiss. We
Straight up.
got an official statement from Gene Simmons, by the way. We did it. He said, "Hey, I think it's pretty cool. Pokemon's huge. My kids love Pokemon. I think it's cool that they're willing to, throw a little reference Kiss's way." And you're like, "Hey, man, no quarrel with Gene Simmons." Fair
Wait,
enough.
isn't it?
Great.
It's not officially a reference, right?
No.
Am I
No,
going crazy?
he's just, it's supposed to generally just be punkish, right? Like,
Okay.
they're supposed to be combative. That's the thing they say is, like, the Zigzagoon line, the Galarian Zigzagoon, it's syllables, whatever. They are, like, popular among the discontented youth, is, like, the common thing. The fact that, like, they're combative, they, like, get in other Pokemon's faces, and, like, teens that are angry look at it and say, "I get you, dude."
I want it. I get it. Yeah.
And
This is the first time, besides Sylveon, this is the first time we're getting a Pokemon, like, an old Pokemon evolving into something new. Though,
Since Gen 4.
Since Gen 4, so it's been a while.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Obstagoon's pretty cool. Like, it's cool that, like, I guess for the regional concept, it kind of makes sense, too, that, right? That, like, okay, hey, like, they've had to adapt to this new region and have changed form and all. Makes sense that they could then also further evolve in this new form, right?
Right.
Well, it's funny that
That's exciting.
they kind of did like a Alolan Executor with Galarian Zigzagoon, because the thing was that Alolan Executor is the actual like original form of Executor, and like the Cantonian version is the like weird. It's the offshoot, and Zigzagoon's apparently the same way. Like They're originally
The
combative.
original Zigzagoon.
Yeah.
But then they moved to Kanto and Hoenn and
there's less
Sinnoh
things to
and-
fight, so like they're just more fidgety rather than they are like aggressive, which is cool. I love the lore of that stuff.
I love
It's a
that shit
prequel.
too.
Yeah. And the discontinued use that will use Obstagoon. By the way, also worth mentioning, they're dark normal type. So add on a new type onto that boy.
Oh yeah. I mean, just like Rattata, makes me think: are all the rodents, if they do get alternate forms, they all going to be dark normal?
Great question. There's a lot of dark Alolan forms. So like, that we'll see if that carries forward. I do also think really quickly, by the way, there are a lot of 2-stage Pokemon that you look at and you say like, man, I wish you had a third. I wish there was like another level of escalation.
Yeah, that, or even just Pokemon that don't evolve already. That you're like, man, if they could just evolve, they could become something really cool. I'm looking at you, Dunsparce. I'm fucking looking at you, and I'm really hoping.
Maybe. Who knows? But like but I think it's cool though that like at the end of the day, like Linoone is a Pokemon that I always like, was met on, and now I'm like, I might want to use him. I love that Obstagoon. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, Linoone was always a really stupid Pokemon to me, but Obstagoon's looking real cool.
Mm-hmm. But we will seemingly see a lot of them in the game because they seem to be a signature Pokemon of the enemy team, Team Yell.
Team Yell.
Who will do exactly that. They are sort of continuing the tradition of Team Skull a little bit, right? They're less world domination focused and more focused on getting their girl all the way to the top. That is Marnie, who's one of the 2 new rivals that you meet. She's a little goth girl. We don't have a ton. She says both like her and the other guys just says like they have their own goals, which is why they want to win the league. And you're like,
Yeah.
whatever that
I mean,
means.
no shit, they have goals.
Yeah.
I mean, Hop might
Well,
not have
hers-
a goal.
Yeah, I mean, hers don't seem as evil as the other guy that we'll get to.
I don't know how to say
but
his
she
name.
also seems very angsty and
she's an angsty teen for sure.
yeah.
The
I do
Japanese
like
trailer
that,
has more
like-
footage. And someone translated the text in it, and she says to Team Yell, she's like, you guys are so embarrassing, like, to other people. So, like, clearly she's not, like, enthused at the idea of these people being nuts about her, but it's what it is.
That's what happens with
They just
celebrities,
follow
you
her.
know?
Stan Twitter is a thing. It happens in the real world, too.
Oh my god.
Wait, is Pokemon the real world?
It's getting closer and closer every day.
Maybe someday.
But yeah, the other rival that we mentioned is named Bede. I don't know. Someone said
But I'm not sure.
there was a guy who said that in like it would be pronounced like Greg in like with like a Welsh accent, but I don't know what that means. So
If only we had
it's
Saf.
bidet. It's bidet.
bidet
He cleans your
cleans
ass.
your beehole because he looks.
Beto wrote.
A bunch of 30-year-olds are very excited to have a 10-year-old make fun of them now because we finally have the return of mean rivals, seemingly. This boy looks very smug, and
Yeah, both of them look like they're not going to be very nice to you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Which is great.
I didn't like the nice rivals there.
yeah.
I do
They're
like
always my
that.
friends.
I like that all 3 rivals this time are going for the Pokemon League, right? Because like Pokemon has done like multiple rivals before, right?
Yeah.
But like in like for example in X and Y, it was 3 clowns and then 1 serious person.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, X and Y rivals were probably the worst.
they're
series
definitely
ever.
the
I'm into
lowest
dancing.
of them all. But like even Gensa, like it's like they don't usually have them all going for the Pokemon League, which is
No.
interesting. So like it's kind of cool. I guess it makes sense because this time the Pokemon League is going to be a tournament and like
Yeah.
and
I
it's,
mean,
like, the
all of
focus
them
the
say that
region.
their goal is Leon.
Um,
They're all gunning for the champion,
Yeah,
which I think is
they
cool.
want to be champion.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be champion.
That's-
So that's going to be
that's
very
really cool.
interesting to see how that plays out in the game.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I can't wait to just beat their ass.
Did you guys actually like the rival in Sun and Moon?
I like
I thought
I mean,
he was okay.
He was alright.
I think with Gladion existing as like the more like serious sort of guy, I think he's fine to be
Yeah, you
more of a
can forgive
goofball.
Hal more. And I think he had a good arc to him, right? Of like, oh, at first he didn't give a shit about anything, and then it's like, oh, then he realized, oh, his Pokemon didn't like that, right?
Yeah.
and then kind of tries to strive to be better than his grandpa. It's like, Hal had stuff to him, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More
I
than
like him
nothing.
overall.
More than
Yeah.
like I like to dance. Like what's his name in X and Y?
Fucking
Tierno. But the other thing that's neat about Bed that they mentioned is that he is Chairman Rose. Chairman Rose sponsors him. And they and so I mean everyone said that Chairman Rose seems like a bad guy from the very beginning. This is another thing to throw into that pile. the clearly
Did
like
Chairman
just
Rose
jealous.
did he also endorse Hop, or am I misremembering that?
No, I think they said that Leon endorses both you and Hop. So
Okay.
because in the Japanese trailer there's a text of a line of dialogue where he's like, the only person that's better than the champion is the league owner, right? And so like you know. You got the endorsement of that guy, but like I got the one guy above him. So
Yeah.
clearly he thinks he's hot shit. And then finally the last little piece they had only in the Japan. No, I take that back. There's one more Pokemon they showed off. And I hope you all have eaten because otherwise you'll be a little bit hangry when we talk about more Peko.
Oh boy.
The Pikachu of this game. There's always a Pika clone. You gotta have one. And his gimmick is that he. Every turn will swap forms from full belly to hangry, where someone made a bunch of minion jokes about this poor Pokemon.
Oh no, I didn't see that. No, don't ruin
Because
this.
the minions go from being yellow to purple. When
I
they
can
attack.
definitely see some nerds being very mad at the use of the word hangry.
Oh, there was people that were mad.
I like it.
I think it's funny, but
Yeah.
But his thing also, they did say this. I guess I should mention. Both also for for Galarian Zigzagoon, they said that there will be multiple Pokemon that get this type of regional evolution, right? They also said that in the same way that there's this form change here, there are more form changing Pokemon in Galar than in previous regions.
cool. Wonder if that
Interesting.
means there's less new Pokemon overall. Because also they've revealed a lot less this time around.
Yeah, we looked up at the same time in Sun and Moon, and they were I think at 34 Pokemon, and we're at 18 right now.
So it's like a big gap.
Yeah, and that's counting all the like Galarian forms and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I've also heard like a lot of stuff where like there's going to be a ton of new Pokemon. There's all sorts of different rumors out there, but
We'll see. I mean, maybe they're just willing to hide more of them pre-release, which would be cool. Because
yeah, which would totally be
Because
cool.
the
I mean, we
for
haven't
sure
even
the
seen the
last
second
two-
starters.
Well, in Sun and Moon we didn't see the second form starters until early October anyway. So
Was that?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it that late?
yeah, it was
that
crazy.
late. They
I
only
looked up
got
the
3
trailers
weeks to
for
themselves
yesterday.
because then at the end of October they revealed the final forms.
Yeah, like 2
So,
weeks
like-
before launch is when they showed off the final evolutions.
Yeah. So like the second forms didn't get much time at all. I kind of expect the same here. Like we'll get them like pretty late, like early October, late
Yeah.
September, and then,
I mean, the second forms are the ones that people forget anyway.
Yeah.
it's the one
But-
you spend the least time with.
Yeah.
It's just a transition phase.
Well, you spend more of I think you spend the least time with the first one. I mean, usually they evolve pretty quick. But
Yeah.
it's the one that it leaves a lot.
But you have to choose one of those 3, you know.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and it's your
Yeah.
first.
And they're cuter normally, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so then there's more Picos there. He's cute. He has a little hamster wheel as a signature move called Aura Wheel, and it changes type depending on which form he's in. But yeah,
Yeah. Electric or dark.
mhm. Which is also like I don't know, what are other dark electric types? I can't think of any. You think it's
Dark
Shinx, but
Raichu.
they're not.
Dark Raichu from the
Game
Pokemon.
Gear. Surprise Thunder. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that we will remember later. But then finally they had a thing that's only in the Japanese trailer, and then in an English tweet, Pokemon, they're gonna come take your jobs because now you can send them out if they're in your box to do essentially if you played Xenoblade 2, like the Merc missions in that game, you get jobs, you can go look in your box, pick Pokemon to send out, and then they get back. It's also a similar thing in World of Light and Smash Brothers.
It gives your Pokemon who are not actively in your party something to do, which is
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, sort of like a Pokepelago had a similar sort of thing in Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
And the big things they say you get as a reward is EXP and base points, which is EVs, even though that doesn't make sense, but whatever. As like a nomenclature. So it seems like it's also a way to like maybe just train up Pokemon casually in the background while you're doing your main playthrough or whatever. It's neat. It's cool. The background looks very much like Pokemon Quest. I thought there was like a crossover for a second
the
when
way,
it first popped up.
I have fact checked, and this is the first electric dark Pokemon.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt, but I also fact checked and saw that.
Yeah, look at that.
Sorry, you guys didn't play the card game.
That's true.
Yeah.
The one true Pokemon experience. But yeah, but overall, like 2 minutes, but cool trailer. There was, you know, like the amount of Pokemon we met was like 5, right? Not a ton, but like a lot of cool implications. I'm excited to see more Galarian forms. Excited to see more regional stuff.
Yep.
Two-minute trailer, 20 minutes of talking about it. Makes sense.
I mean, that's what we do. That's how you make a podcast, baby.
Yeah. I could talk about it for a long time.
Please don't.
But until then, let's talk about another video game for potentially too long on the list.
The
list.
The list.
Follow along in the paste bin below. This
Listen,
is.
you better put some excitement in your voice, Muzzy. What the fuck?
He does not. He doesn't.
It's a bit.
Is it? The list, you can, like I said, in the paste bin, you can look. We rank video games every week against each other. Some of them are great. Some of them are awful. Some of them are pretty okay. But it is our job to determine exactly where they will go. Last week, Muzamel brought Animal Crossing New Leaf. Made it high.
Yeah,
number 12.
God.
You know.
Don't remind me.
Don't remind. Poor Ills had to sit through all that. This week, Brandon, you're bringing something to the list.
Okay. All right. So I've been thinking about this a little bit today. What am I going to bring? And I got a little disappointed because Saf's not going to be here because I had a game in mind that I wanted to hear him talk about.
Oh.
But then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I didn't want to hear him talk about this game, actually. And fuck him.
Okay.
Because his opinion on this game is fucking shit.
Oh, no.
And
Let's do it.
I'm bringing The Legend of Zelda.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Skyward Sword.
Yes, finally.
I kind
Thank
of wish
God.
that was here, though, because he would have definitely been outvoted anyway.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, I know.
It would've been-
That was my plan all day, and I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? It sucks that Saf's not
The
going
Tav
to be
gets
here
to edit
to
this
talk about
podcast and hear it
Yeah,
all
Sam,
post.
Sam gets to hear how we talk about tell
Yeah.
us how great this game is, Brandon.
Well, there's two things. Saf, he's not here. Well, I'll just get this out of the way for anybody not listening in the references we're going to make here because of Saf. He played the game for not a very long time, and he has a shitty opinion on it because he says it's really bad.
He played like
But
the
there's
first
also people...
dungeon and thinks he's an authority on this game.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's real bad.
Yes.
We've been dealing with this opinion for like 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then I was like, well, thinking in my head, well, if he's not here, it doesn't really matter because we're gonna whatever his, none of us are gonna line up with his opinion. I know. We've all talked about this game, before in private, not on the podcast, obviously, and I know you guys don't feel the same way as Saf does. So I was like, yeah, his opinion's not going to really affect where
It
we
would
put
just
on
pad
list
the
anyway.
podcast.
In fact, actually, I think it would have an effect of, we get so mad at him that we put it higher. So maybe we're getting a more fair
Maybe.
ranking without him.
and Will, you're right. It would just affect the podcast. And he's sitting there smiling because even though he's not here, he's affecting and padding the podcast by us talking about it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So tell us about
staff
the game.
effect.
So Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword came out on the Nintendo Wii near the end of the Wii's life cycle, from what I remember. And it was getting, it was the first Wii game, the Wii Zelda game, right? Because there's Twilight Princess on the Wii, right? But that's more of a GameCube, GameCube to the Wii, kind of like Breath of the Wild thing, right? It's like a port.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first true game, Zelda game for the Wii.
Yeah.
And with it being that, of course, with the Wii, it was like, oh, we're gonna take advantage of the motion controls, because it was a big thing with Twilight Princess had the motion controls, but really it was just waggle.
Yeah.
It was no one-to-one sword movement, and the idea of doing that was one of the big selling points for the Wii for a long time. Was swinging a sword around.
But it needed some help.
Perfect match. It needed some help, so they got the Wii Motion Plus.
Mm,
Which was it required to play the game? I don't know.
I think it was.
Yes,
Was
you
it?
had
Okay.
to have it, and like there was like a remote bundle in case you didn't have it.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, so I got that remote bundle,
So
and I
did I.
still
Good-looking
use that Wii
controller.
remote to this day.
That should,
The gold.
yeah.
Yeah. I have the gold Wii remote that came with the game, and it's my go-to Wii remote still to this day.
Same.
I
It's the
love
only remote I have left because I got rid of all the rest, but I couldn't get
it.
rid of that gold.
Well,
one.
it's a great Wii remote.
Yeah.
I'm still annoyed that we didn't get the gold nunchuck that I think Japan got.
yeah,
Club-
well, we did.
Well, Club
but we got
Nintendo
it from
eventually
Club
got
Nintendo, and it was like fucking sold out in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I got one though. I have one.
Oh,
Wow.
fuck you, dude.
Wow.
I was at work. I couldn't
Fuck
get
off.
one. Yeah. Anyway.
Do you play as
That's
Link in
what
this
it's like.
video game?
Hold on.
Play as Zelda.
He's getting there.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Let us reminisce on what it was. But yeah, you play as Link, and
Bad
this
host.
is like this Zelda game takes place at the fucking beginning of Zelda, like as if they couldn't fucking rewind even further. They still do.
Uh-huh.
But this is like,
by the way.
well,
No longer the
the
origin
official
story.
timeline is that this game is first. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I don't think you could
So-
set a game before this anymore.
It would take
It's
a
not
lot of
possible.
doing.
you'd think that.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
fucking test them.
This is
So
like
this
when
game using the Wii remote motion controls, it did unique things that Zelda has never done before.
Yeah.
That some people hated, some people enjoyed, and there's a lot of controversy over whether it was good or not. A lot of time, when you fight enemies, you use the sword. You have to swing the Wii remote in specific motions, like their shields they'll hold their shield high, so you got to swing low, and
You have to cut in diagonals.
Yeah,
you
it's
have
like
to
eight
cut in,
directional,
yeah.
really, sort of, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. There's boss fights where you had to do it with like Girahim and stuff like that, and some people hated it. I will say though, I didn't really have a problem with it. Maybe I'm in the minority here. I thought it worked just fine. It
In
wasn't.
fact, I'm a big
like-
fan of it. I thought it worked well. I enjoyed
yeah,
it.
so
Like,
am
it's-
I.
Yeah,
Like, sure, it's not traditional combat, but it's not trying to be. Like it's trying
And
to be.
I would
something.
say,
And
And
I
Zelda
think it does
combat
well.
and Zelda combat never is that deep. I mean, this has more depth than most Zelda combat, I'd say.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
not true.
it's like Wind Waker and Breath of the Wild are above it, but besides that, nothing else in terms of combat. I feel.
yeah, I mean, I would describe it. This sounds harsher than I intended to, but it's largely functional, right? Which I think it needs, which is sort of all it needs to be, right? Like the thing that's interesting is how they have you apply it, right? Like there's a couple of fights in the game, like Girahim's boss fights in particular, where I'm just like, oh man, these are great. Like this is a really cool application of it, right? And some enemies.
yeah. I loved it.
There were
I
some
like
where I
the-
was more like, all right, like I don't want to have to.
I
deal
think
with
it got
this.
a lot of flack for like the regular combat, like because it might have taken too long and anything. But I feel like I got used to it pretty quickly, And none of the regular enemies were really that demanding. Because at some point you just realize, okay, I need to swipe diagonally. Okay, I need to swipe this way. And it's like you learn it pretty fast. I don't really think it's a detriment or makes things really that much slower as people claim it does.
I would view it as a small detriment, but there were also clear benefits in the boss battles and in like the larger enemy encounters in my mind.
Especially in the boss battles. And the game is fucking great with the dungeon design. I absolutely
Top
loved
tier
it.
Zelda dungeon design.
Yeah.
The Ancient Cistern is one of my favorite dungeons, period, in the
Oh
franchise.
god, it's so
you know?
beautiful.
It is. That fucking pirate shit, man. I love it.
Holy shit, it's so good.
And they do really cool things, like you said, that pirate ship. They do stuff with time travel mechanics. Like there's a lot of they put a lot of very neat ideas into each dungeon, and each dungeon is so well thought out, which is nice because this was the last Zelda game to have proper dungeons, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
it's nice that I feel like they went on a high note. These dungeons were
Yeah, I mean,
great.
like the get the item, use the item, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the dungeon design was fucking phenomenal in this game. My biggest complaint with this game, it was I can't even remember his name, the big old black monster thing.
Demise.
The imprisoned.
The
imprisoned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
did
boss
not- that-
fight.
those
you
parts-
you do it
Do
3
too
times.
much, yeah.
It's not a particularly engaging fight.
Yeah.
You can learn to
Yeah.
cheese it, but that doesn't mean it's a good design.
Yeah,
you
that
know?
just means
Yeah.
you avoid the thing rather than
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, and it's like
that was like my least favorite part of the game. It was
Yeah.
kind of a pain in the
Yeah.
ass. And I guess one thing that kind of disappointed me was the world didn't end up being as huge as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But it was still a decent size because it's like
they
From what I
definitely
remember.
played it up to be like, because there's 3 separate sections in the game, right? Essentially,
Right, there is,
with an
there
overworld,
is.
and so like the idea is, oh, okay, well then that means each overworld is going to be really fleshed out, and I do think they did a good job of making each overworld very. There's a lot to do, right? Like you.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, the design of this game is, even when you're not in a dungeon, like the overworld itself kind of plays out like a dungeon.
I mean, yeah,
right?
they said that in interviews. That was sort of their
Yeah, like-
concept, was like how to make the field be a thing you're engaged in.
So that's the core idea of the game. But you could say, like, I think definitely a big part, people wish that there was more, right? Like there was bigger areas, because you go to all 3 areas essentially 3 times each, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the second time you go to each one, it is like, it's not really a repeat, because you're just visiting a whole new area just in the same location, right?
Yeah.
But then when you go and do it the third time, it's kind of like backtracking, and you're just kind of like, okay, all right, like I get it, you know, like
Yeah. At that point, it's kind of like, what?
yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting how they opened up the areas. Like they all made them differently. Like the second time you went back.
Yeah. I mean, the second time
remember
is straight up flat out, like it's nowhere near what it was the first time around, right?
Yeah.
It's essentially a new area. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember the forest turns into like Lake Hylia, and it's like, oh shit, what the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh man, that's super cool.
Yeah, it was cool if you had played Zelda before to see kind of like the world forming and everything. The other complaints, I guess I'll get to them, that people do have with the game is your partner in this game, Fee.
Oh yeah.
People like to complain about her and, oh, she's the worst Zelda partner ever. She's like the spirit of the Master Sword.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I guess the main complaint is when your Wii remote's running out of batteries, she's constantly telling
She's
you.
constantly telling you, hey, your Wii remote is running out of batteries, you know?
Which, that's annoying.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, besides the Wii remote running out of batteries thing, I didn't really find
It's the
it.
people that complain about like the rupee pickups. I didn't find that
Yeah, I
much
was
of an
gonna say.
issue.
So I think more so than Fee or Fi, whatever, however you pronounce her name. She personally didn't bother me much. But what was annoying was every time you would restart the game, anytime you would pick up an item, it would give you the pop up like, "Hey, this is a choo-choo jelly or whatever," right?
Yeah.
And it's like,
what the fuck was up with that? I never understood that.
every single time because like what would happen is if you played the game. While you were playing the game, the second time you picked it up, it would not give that pop-up, right? But if you turned off the game and opened it up again, it would act if this was the first time you booted up. And it's like it's a very slow pop text. And there's a lot of very unique collectibles in this game. So you end up every single time you boot up the game, you're encountering that pop-up so many times.
Yeah.
And that is frustrating. That is genuinely frustrating because it's like, I get it. Like, I know what this is, man. Like, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of silly.
Yeah, I mean,
other complaints people had was like the HUD was too big. And
no, you can minimize that.
Yeah, you can minimize it.
I think that the sky. I think complaints about the sky are fair.
And the loft wing, yeah.
Yeah, because like I mean, the controls for the loft wing are not very engaging. In fact, they're pretty stupid.
Yeah.
And like, there's not really anything to do in Skyloft, which to me is like whatever, because like it's just a hub world. But like I get why people want that though. You know,
there are
things
a couple
to
of
do
small
there.
islands.
There are things to do there.
But
There's small islands,
it's nothing like it's nothing you want to do. You know?
Well,
like,
I mean, if you want to collect everything, yeah.
But like, if I want to compare it directly to Wind Waker HD, right? I say HD for a reason. I found it very engaging to explore. What's the ocean called?
The Great Sea.
The Great Sea. I found it very engaging to explore every single tile of the Great Sea. I really did, you know. But Skyloft is just like. Like there's some cool characters that you'll meet in the area, don't get me wrong. And I think that is Skyward Sword's biggest strength actually is the characters, right?
It's the characters.
The characters
Shout
and the
out
story,
to-
I think, are good. Yeah.
Shout out to the Zelda in the game because she's probably the best.
Hell
Zelda.
yeah, she's so good.
And like the characters in this game are truly, I think they're the best in the franchise, and I think the story's
Also
the best
shout
in the
out to
franchise.
Groose. You gotta shout out to them.
Gotta shout out to
give it to
Groose. He's wonderful. Goddamn, put him in Hyrule Warriors, Koei Tecmo, you motherfuckers. But no, like I felt engaged for the story throughout the whole thing because a lot of people. Another complaint, I guess we should mention. A lot of people believe that the intro is very drawn out, and I understand that, but I personally can't say I felt that. I felt very engaged throughout that whole 5 hours.
Have you ever replayed the game? Just like,
I have not though.
Yeah.
That is I'm sure on replay it is a little bit more annoying.
Yeah, but
Um,
I mean, why are we judging games on a replay though?
No, I mean, I think it's just that type of stuff. Like when you're discovering it all, you're like, oh, this is fun. But like, there is a percent of the Zelda audience that replays those games a ton, right? And is hyper engaged on learning all these different things, and
I mean, I understand that, but like, your first impression should be the one you go.
Yeah,
with.
but I think a lot of people's first impression was bad with that.
Yeah, a lot of people were still like, I want to get to
I just want to get to the game. Like I said, though, I personally didn't feel that way, though, so I can't judge it for that.
Yeah.
But I understand why people would feel that way.
And I do remember there was a Miyamoto interview that like kind of like made that happen, because he was like, the first hour of the game's the most important. Everyone's like, man, this game's gonna pop off like crazy, and then it opens up, and it's very quaint.
You come after Twilight Princess, which had an awful opening as well, right?
Yeah.
And so people thought,
much worse than Skyward Swords.
They learned. Yeah, personally, I think it's worse than Skyward Swords, but I've seen the opposite sentiment. I've seen people say that Skyward Swords is even worse. Hard to disagree.
It's such a weird thing that all these people are saying this, because like I didn't see a problem with either one.
Well, I
just
think
like,
because the thing
I'm
is,
not trying to rush through my Zelda. I'm here to have a good time.
I see the problem though, because it's hard to get going, and you just want to get. If you can't even get to that 5-hour mark, then you're just annoyed. You know, you're just like, all right, I'm giving up, and then you're like Saf, and you give up and never play the game again. Which is funny because Saf got to the end of the bad part. Once he started playing from there, he would have had a great time. But that's an aside.
Yeah.
But I do think it's worth detracting for that. But like, hey, it takes a while to get going, and if you're not engaged in the story or you're replaying it or whatever, like it's like, yeah, it's not like, I mean, because it is a subjective thing, right? Whether that story is gonna engage you, whether you're gonna think this is interesting, them setting up the whole like, okay, like this is the Knights Academy or whatever the fuck. I don't even remember.
Link and Zelda, they're gonna kiss. Yeah. They keep wanting to kiss, but they're not gonna kiss.
I mean, most importantly, Link and Zelda's
scene.
relationship. Yeah. But like if you're not into that and you just want your traditional Zelda action, like it takes a while to get started. It does,
If you're not into that, why are you playing a Zelda game? I don't understand.
So I want to see Zelda.
No, but then
we're not talking about this. Link to the Past.
So I will say, I think the biggest complaint of Skyward Sword, we already kind of touched upon it, but it's just the fact that it's not open, right? It's these segmented off areas, right?
Not an open world game, no.
But to me, in a post Breath of the Wild world where we kind of know the direction of the franchise anyway, and it's like not Skyward Sword, right? I can appreciate what Skyward Sword does a lot more, Because sure, it's not my ideal of what I want, because I want Zelda to be about exploration. I want to like be able to explore every nook and cranny, whatever, right? And Skyward Sword doesn't really do that, right? It does it in 3 separate kind of biomes, right?
Yeah, zones, right?
Yeah. But like,
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But
I think there's a good amount of exploration within those zones.
I felt it lacking a little bit, right? Like I will say that much. Like when I went, I was sort of like, there is that moment where you're like, okay, these are the zones, and you're like, okay, that's it. Like that's the amount that you're gonna get from these areas. And there were moments where I was sort of like, I wish there was a little bit more. I wish there was, right? Because obviously Zelda means a lot of things to different people, but like, I think that I didn't have the sense of exploration.
Fair. Yeah, I think that's fair, but I think, to me, in a post-Breath of the Wild world, that doesn't bother me as much anymore.
Sure, but I mean, I still don't think that doesn't mean that, like, it just means that, like, oh, the series didn't go down a path that you were, like, kind of worried about. Like, I don't think that means that, like, it was bad.
But I think what it sets out to do, it does it well.
Sure.
It doesn't set out to be this open-world exploration-focused game.
No, well, yeah, I guess. Because, I mean, I think that, like, so much of the game is informed by that statement about we want the overworld to be a dungeon, Yeah. Like, yes. Which explains why the enemies in the overworld take more time to beat. It explains why there's a lot more stopping and starting and getting out items and using those items, right? And, like, that stuff's cool, but you can also see why someone might say, I just want to get through this. I want to explore the overworld, Sort of.
I didn't feel that way. I didn't.
Okay. All that being said, guys, we kind of need to figure out where this
goes. And I'm looking at the list, and I don't really know. I mean, I do think. I mean, well, Brandon, you should go first, obviously. But...
Yeah. I'll say it's the best Zelda game on the list. No, I'm just kidding.
Fucking do it. All right.
Well, then there's only one spot it can go.
Well, God, Saf would quit.
I will. No.
Bonus.
I'll say. How many Zelda games we got on the list? 2?
We got 2. We got Breath of the Wild, we got 3. Link's Awakening. And we got Ocarina of Time.
We also have Ocarina of Time.
Jeez.
Yeah. I think it should go the lowest of the 3.
The fuck?
I agree. I think it's worse than Link's Awakening.
I think you're wrong.
If it's worse than Link's Awakening, it's at number 22.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Put it above.
I'm fine with
Octopath.
that. It's not. Yeah. It's not going any lower than that. But
Yeah.
I think it should. But then my other problem is I would put it above Symphonia. I would put it above Remake. I would put it above Cuphead.
Wouldn't put it above. Octopath.
Wouldn't have put it.
If I was putting it above Cuphead, I would put it above him.
So I'm okay with putting it above Link's Awakening as long as it goes a bit higher than that. Like it should not be
That's
right.
such a weird negotiation.
Right above Link's Awakening would be the worst spot to me.
I feel pretty strongly about Link's Awakening being better. I do.
Yeah, but I also feel strongly about Link's Awakening being better than the games above it, and I don't want to make this mistake where I'm arbitrarily.
Hey,
rating...
I feel strongly about that too.
I don't want to arbitrarily rate Skyward Sword lower just because I think it's lesser than Link's Awakening, but then all these other games just get added above it, and I don't want that happening. You see what I'm saying?
Does this put a target on another Ranker Slam thing? Maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Almost certainly.
Man, it's tough here. So this is where I'm torn. If it's below Link's Awakening, it's number 22. For me, if it's above Link's Awakening, it's number 19.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
agree with you. I
stand.
mean, I would prefer to put it above Cuphead, but I can put it below Cuphead.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. But I mean, Brandon, do you feel better about it being 19 or 22? Because I genuinely don't know how I feel between those two spots.
Let me also just say, I think the art style in this game is top notch. I think it might be the best looking Zelda game.
Nah.
I really do think that.
I think it's one of the better ones. I wouldn't say it's my favorite though. Like I prefer how Breath of the Wild looks. I prefer how the Link's Awakening remake looks. I prefer how Wind Waker HD looks. I
think the art style is a super smart decision to be on an SD console because I think it benefits it from not being super sharp. And I think it looks really good, but I don't think it's the best looking Zelda game. Yeah. I think I agree with Moose. But,
you agree with Muzzy below Link's Awakening?
I mean, yeah. Well,
Well,
I mean,
that's
because
not what he said.
Ills, where do you want to put it? Because I don't think you've actually said it out loud.
I'll put it below Cuphead.
I'm genuinely split between because I like. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, because I've said it before. I'll say it a million times. Link's Awakening, my favorite Zelda game. Doesn't mean I think it's the best Zelda game. That's
also too low. You know.
I think it's too low. I could go on and on about how I think a lot of games are too low.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, where
Like
would
it-
you put Link's Awakening?
Link's Awakening should be higher.
Where?
I mean, that'll settle for Ranker
Oh,
Slam.
you don't want to say. Okay. He's too
Maybe
scared.
Ranker Slam, maybe Ranker Series,
maybe
the Royal
maybe
Ranking.
Rankomania even in next April, but
Maybe.
I don't know. No, I don't want to put it. I want to put it at number 18. I mean, yeah, below Cuphead. I mean, I'll put it below Cuphead.
Number 20?
Number 9.
No,
Number 19.
Number
19. Sorry, jeez Louise. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll fix the sins of Link's Awakening at a later date.
We'll see. That is 3 people, and there is 6 when we do the re-rank, so there's no guarantee of that. But yeah, that is it. Putting it right there, right below top 20. No disrespect for this video game. That is number 17, Undertale. 18, the Cuphead. Excuse me. Number 19, The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword. Number 20, Resident Evil Remake, and now number 21, Tales of Symphonia for the Nintendo GameCube.
Wait, now that you've said it out loud, I kind of do have one little. Are we? I mean, just because I haven't played it, so I don't know. Are you guys sure it's above Remake?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to say that out loud because we just kind of swept that.
Wait, you didn't play Tales of Symphonia either.
Yeah, but I know
that part out loud. Why'd you say that part out loud?
Because I know that game sucks.
Oh, fuck. Fucking garbage.
Mizmil. That is
Digging a hole.
that is the list before we let it go out of hand. Before I do plugs, Brandon, if you would like the final phrase.
I would absolutely love the final phrase, my friend.
Really, if we go off the system of aggrieved final phrase, it would be Saf, but he's not here, so. The podcast you're listening to, if you made it all the way through, is the Jump Up Supercast. We hope you enjoyed it. Every Monday, this goes live. Every other Thursday, we have the Game Club. Though for the next little bit, we're going to be having a lot of stuff coming out. Geist is a game that Ilse has picked that we're going to talk about, as well as Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, a recent release. Both of those will be put on the list that you just heard us put another game on. And in addition, another big list thing, there's Ranker Slam, the biggest party of the summer. Definitely in no way affiliated with WWE, but, you know. That will be a chance where we all get to move one game, right? We get this once every, basically 4 times a year, seemingly, and give or take. And that's, a rare occurrence. So the stakes can be high. We can get heated. But we hope you enjoy engaging on that. Until then, though, you can follow us on iTunes, on SoundCloud, on Twitter, all Jump Up Supercast on all of those services, as well as on Facebook and Instagram. Same, Jump Up Supercast. And rate us 5 stars or give us a dang old thumbs up on whatever platform you are on, even YouTube, where we also post these episodes, if that is more convenient for you. But all that having been said, like I said, hope you all have a good one. And now, Brandon, your final phrase.
They say all men are created equal, but you look at me and you look at Will, and you can see that statement is not true. See, normally if you go one-on-one with another person in this podcast, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% chance at best at beat me. And then you add Ilse to the mix, your chances of winning drastic go down. See, the 3-way at some ranking slam, whatever the fuck it's called, you got a 33 and third chance of winning. But I got a 66 and 2/3% chance of winning because Will knows he can't beat me and he's not even going to try. So, Will, you take your 33 and 3/3% chance if you was to go one-on-one, and you got an 8 and 1/3% chance at Ranker Slam. But then you take my 75% chance of winning and add 66 and 2/3%, and I got a 141 and 2/3% chance of winning at Ranker Slam. Senor Will, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at Ranker Slam.